Her attachment to relatives had gone, but her maternal attachment to Bhagwan remained. She knew Bhagwan liked appalam, a thin wafer-like crisp, only much bigger. And she would ask people to bring the ingredients to make it. One day when she was trying to make appalams, she called out to Bhagwan, "Why don't you come and help me? I am going to make appalams." Blinded by her attachment to him, she wanted to satisfy his childhood desires. Understanding this, Bhagwan replied, "You make your appadams inside the cave, and I will make my appadams outside." This is how the appadam song came about. In it, the process of making appadams is a metaphor for the process of attaining liberation. Bhagwan interpreted the song in the light of every ingredient used. Let the ego be crushed in the quern of self-enquiry, seasoned with satsang, good company, softened and flattened, fried in the ghee of Brahman, and then eaten by the self. The song asks, how should one's soul be ripened? How should one's ego be pounded like the flour is pounded? The answer is with the enquiry, who am I? This song touched the depth of her mother's soul and transformed her. She was very possessive about her meager belongings. Bhagwan transformed this quality in a beautiful way. One day, a pious renunciate and resident of Skandashram called Sabhapati was wearing a torn cloth that did not cover much. Mother asked him, "Sabhapati, why are you wearing this torn cloth?" He playfully replied, "You are wearing a long sari. It is 9 yards long. Why don't you give me some of it?" Immediately she tore 2 yards from her sari and gave it to Sabhapati. Her detachment from her few possessions had begun. Another day, some woodcutters came to Skandashram and cried, "Bhagwan, we are all hungry." Mother Azhagammal would not share the food with others until she had eaten first. She believed that food became polluted if others ate it first. Bhagwan knew this. Still he told Kunju Swami, "Ask mother to bring the food she has cooked and give it to them." She was hesitant. "Tell Bhagwan that I have not yet eaten," she protested. When Kunju Swami reported this to Bhagwan, he went to her and reproached her. "Oh, that is the reason. You think they are all different from you. Come, look, they are all standing down there. Do you know who they are? Look at them." She looked at them, and Bhagwan said, "They are all Arunachala Swarupam, the forms of Arunachala." He did not use the word untouchables. From that moment on, she saw only Arunachala in everyone. There was no difference between her and anyone else. Bhagwan fulfilled his duties to her as a son. Though already an acclaimed master, he had only a few people to serve him. They would fetch water for him and carry it painstakingly uphill. However, for his mother, Bhagwan himself brought the water. He would carry 2 big vessels filled to the brim, make her sit and pour water over her to bathe her. He also washed her clothes. While he attended to her physical needs and was affectionate to her, he could also be stern when he had to effect a change. Over 8 years, slowly but surely, he weaned her away from the limiting confines of narrow-mindedness, orthodoxy, superstition, and social customs. However, despite being in the presence of a great master like Bhagwan, who with all filial affection had the intention to mature his mother, it took 8 years. The beauty of the relationship is that Bhagwan's mother surrendered to it all and allowed the transformation to take place. The lesson for us here is that we should not get disappointed if we see no progress after a few years of sadhana. One day, Bhagwan's sister came and said, "Mother, you are not well. Come, I have a comfortable house." She refused and turning to Bhagwan, told him, "I want to die only in your arms. After my death, you may even throw my body into some thorn bushes, it doesn't matter." Soon after this, she fell seriously ill. On the day of her passing away, from early in the morning, Bhagwan sat next to her with his left hand on her head and his right hand on the right side of her chest. He remained like that for nearly 8 hours. The devotees who were gathered there knew that her end had come. They observed the beauty and sanctity of a son elevating his mother's soul to the infinite. Kunju Swami, who was present, later said that the devotees observing this felt it was a physical demonstration of the soul's journey to the Absolute. It was like heat and light spreading from a flame. When he was sure that the soul and mind had merged in the self, Bhagwan took his hands off and then said, when the soul merges with the self and is completely annihilated, a soft ring like a bell can be felt. It was a common practice that after witnessing a death, all those present must bathe. But Bhagwan said that in this case, there was no need as there was no pollution. She did not die, she is absorbed in Arunachala, he stated. Later, the devotees who were there inquired, Bhagwan, what did you do by keeping your hands on her head and her chest? What exactly took place? Bhagwan explained, innate tendencies and subtle memories of past experiences that lead to future possibilities became very active when my hands were placed on her. The outer senses had already gone. The soul was passing through a series of experiences, thus avoiding the need for rebirth and making the possible union of the mind with the self or the heart. The soul was at last disrobed of all subtleties before it reached its final destination, the supreme peace of liberation, from which there is no return to ignorance.
What is the precept that Bhagavan laid down before us through Mother's example? When asked what the essence of his teaching was, Bhagavan would reply, either ask, "Who am I?" or "Surrender." They are two sides of the same coin. Bhagavan clearly demonstrated the nuances of "Who am I?" in the lives of many devotees. However, through the example of his mother, he taught the aspect of surrender, for his mother had surrendered completely. Mother's example also shows us what happens when one immerses in self-inquiry and reaches a state of silence. An experience like the one during Mother's death takes place. Innate tendencies and subtle memories of past experiences leading to future possibilities become very active. When one is immersed in self-inquiry and silence, this begins to happen. At this point, one is tempted to give up and say, "I am not able to proceed." Scene after scene rolled before her in the subtle consciousness. The outer senses had already gone. When one inquires deeply, the inner doors open. The soul was passing through a series of experiences, thus avoiding the need for rebirth and making the possible union of the mind with the self or the heart. When one progresses in self-inquiry, there is a struggle for the mind to merge with the heart. The guidance and grace of the Guru are very essential to push and pull the mind into the heart. Once the soul was disrobed by all subtleties, it reached the final destination, the supreme peace of liberation from which there is no return to ignorance. This teaching is a clear example of the imminent experience that awaits us all. Mother Azhagammal has shown us the way. Have complete faith. Either take up the path of self-inquiry or surrender to the higher power. In both cases, Bhagavan has said, ego has no place. When there is no ego, neither I nor mine, that which rules is only Arunachala. As Bhagavan has said, Arunachala is the heart, the self, the I am. Reaching Arunachala is not in space or in time. It is constantly here and now. It is not going to enter your heart. It already is the heart. You only have to turn your attention to it. Mother Azhagammal turned her attention to Bhagavan. Bhagavan once said, the purpose of the outer Guru is to give a push and that of the inner Guru is to pull. Arunachala is the outer Guru who gives us the push, while Bhagavan, remaining in the heart as our self, pulls us like a magnet. So what is our role? We just have to submit. Wherever we are, we should live in our heart. Sacredness means that we should go into silence. Wherever and whenever we are in silence, we are in sacredness, and that sacredness is Arunachala. Arunachala is not a Hindu god, it is reality, space, existence itself. Since we have identified ourselves with our bodies and thus have limited ourselves, Arunachala has come to remind us, there is no you, there is only I am.